Hey everybody, I wanted to come on and talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. And I feel like I want to just kind of put my little 2 cents in the ring about it because you might not have seen this on the news because there's just so many things we have to keep our eyes on that you might miss some things. And sometimes I just don't watch the news because it's just too much. It's all too consuming to have to watch so much on the news. But the thing that registers to me today is the fact that they passed the bill for teachers to be able to carry. I'm sorry, they advanced the bill for teachers to be able to carry weapons in school. Um, so a couple of things about this. A, y'all need to vote. Like if you've never ever cared about anything else in life, voting is the most important thing because the people who are making laws that impact your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren are in power now, making legislation that it adheres to your generations of family. And we all know this bill can be impactful by Black and brown children because of several factors. So what I want to talk about is the factors today that you may not be thinking about. And excuse the stuffiness, my allergies are acting up, so just bear with me. One thing I noticed that today, I heard some teachers talking, and it was very disturbing to know um, that this bill had passed because they see things that every teacher that was in the circle saw a different negative aspect about this, right? So one of the things they pointed out to me, and I thought about it, but I mean, I just hear other teachers' perspective. That's important, but here it is. Um, Teachers who would carry a weapon in elementary school, can you just visualize what this will be like if a child gets a hold of that gun? Like what is the appropriate way to secure a gun around a child who is very curious, who is very busy, who may have autism, who may have some type of intellectual disability that will impair them from knowing that that weapon is only supposed to be for an intruder? So you have some issues there, and then that makes the teachers more liable, right? So it's bad enough that we can be sued over anything. Like the district can be sued over anything. We can get fired over anything. Like at this point, they're firing teachers over eating cafeteria lunch. Like check it out, it's happened in Atlanta. So just be mindful that the pressure is on teachers over lunch, let alone give a teacher a weapon to have to try to secure some type of way and keep a child safe. And kids are just by nature just curious people. They are just little magnets towards the things that they're not supposed to be touching or supposed to be around. So this bill is disturbing because what happens to the teacher if a child gets a hold of this weapon? And yes, I know they said that their plan is to have secure boxes and blase, 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 but we all know that there's no true way to secure that weapon from a kid, especially in a school setting. We can barely keep them out of shit, the crayon box. We only want you to have red, and you done managed to get 17 colors. So I know you got access to a gun. So it's fearful, and I make light of that, but it's not funny. Kids are just naturally curious little individuals, and as a result, you can find yourself in a situation where that child has gotten a hold of that weapon. Part two to that is, what if that child gets a hold of that weapon and the adult doesn't notice it? Like there's not going to be an alarm or bell or whistle going off when the weapon is taken out of the lockbox. It's just going to be it's going to be taken out, and the door is going to be shut, and some teacher might miss it, right? So then what happens if that child gets that weapon and it discharges? Somebody else's child could lose their life. That child could lose their life. That child can kill that teacher. So we don't want to have the conversation about the things that make that a negative thing. It's not our job to to be the marksman of the building. I am an educator. My degrees are in education. What I do well is teach. But what I don't do well, I don't know, I shoot pretty well, but I'm not interested in having that weapon. That's too much responsibility for somebody like me when you don't want to give me a raise. No, no, no. Take some of that money that you're funding other things and provide security. That is their job. But I digress. Point number two that was made to me today is, what happens when the teacher is unstable? There are teachers who surprisingly pass the praxis exams, which means they are official licensed teachers. But they batshit crazy. I'm not interested in working with somebody who is just not all there, and then you're going to give them a weapon. I'm not interested in that. Simply because there could be a day, a teacher's having a bad day, some things are going wrong at home, whatever behind the scenes actions are happening for that teacher, and they go to middle school, they go to high school. If anybody knows anything about the school levels, like elementary school, you got your few fourth and fifth graders who think they're real thugs until they meet a real thug teacher who let them know that this ain't that, and then they kind of tone that down. So them kids you can kind of control, because you can let them know, no, this is not it. That's not it. This is not happening. But in middle school and high school, that's when kids' hormones really take off, right? So they really become the thug that they think they are, right? They're like overly aggressive. So if they haven't had home training, or just living in this day and time where social media makes everybody think they some killers and drug dealers, you run into that one student who really keeps plucking you, like really bucking up to you, really think that they're going to punk you. They really think they're going to bow you down because you're a teacher. What happens to that teacher who's had a bad day? They're sick of this kid. Mind you, this kid has been in trouble all year. This kid has been sent to the office 1,000 times, and all they've done is reset them and put them back in class. Well, when they come back to class that last time and that unstable teacher has had enough, what happens then? There's a video circulating out, and I'll try to find it and post it under here, but there is I perceive her to be middle school. Sorry, y'all, my Afrin is kicking in. Jesus be offense. There's a middle school kid assaulting her teacher, and the teacher keeps saying, don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me. I'm telling you now, don't put your hands on me. And then the fight breaks out. So if I'm carrying a weapon and that happens, what happens if I forget that's a child and I discharge my weapon? Because we have a situation in life now where we don't have parents doing real parenting. They're sending their children into the building with all this rap music, with all this stuff on TikTok, with all this stuff on these social platforms, with all this overly inappropriate adult information that their little minds are not capable of processing. When they enter into that school building, they carry that weight. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, the worst thing you had to worry about is, did your K-Swiss come in? Like, was you going to be fly on the first day of school? Like, those are the things that I had challenges with. I didn't have challenges with thinking 16 girls going to jump me and record it. My boyfriend is sleeping with somebody else's boyfriend, like girlfriend or boyfriend. Y'all know the drama that goes on social media. So when you have all these overly sexualized, hormonal teenagers in an environment where they can act a fool. I mean, they cutting up now without a gun. So what's going to happen when that kid meets that one unstable teacher and all hell breaks loose in that school building? That is the most dangerous combination I could ever think of, which leads me to my point of, y'all need to vote. Like this bill, like some weird cuckoo bird, like we just didn't have a shooting here in Nashville. Like, some weird crazy bird is sitting at home thinking it's totally okay. Let's make a law about it. Let's make sure everybody has access to weapons. You got to vote. Because your children, especially if you have little children, kids who are still maybe in elementary school, if this bill passes, this will impact you for God knows how long. That means you have to send your children to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, this is absurd to think they think that's appropriate. I saw a video of a police officer. He was off duty, but he had his service weapon. And he was just having a good time with his friends, drinking a beer. And maybe he had that third beer and that was way too much for him to be able to take. And he decided he was going to do a backflip or a front flip or whatever he wanted to do at that moment. When he did it, his service weapon fell to the ground, discharged, and shot somebody in the room. He lost his job. and God knows whatever else behind it. And I'm sure he didn't mean that. Like, I'm sure if he could rethink that through, he wouldn't have drunk that beer. He wouldn't have did those things. He wouldn't have did blah, 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 blah. But let's just think about what position you put teachers in when you tell them carry a weapon. Carry a weapon and be responsible for somebody else's child. Now be mindful, these are your children. Not my children are grown. My children are grown, but your children still have to cycle through the system. Your children still have to cycle through the school system. So you got to be mindful that if this bill passes, it's going to be a problem. And I don't know how Dr. Battle, like I don't think I've read any emails or any plans of, should this bill pass, how do we handle that as a district? So I don't know how superintendents will plan to adjust to this. You know, like once it becomes a law, it's a law. So any right-winged teacher that feels like a gun is what they got to have in their possession at all times, I don't know how the districts will curtail that, but you as a parent have to start thinking about how this will impact your children. Parents, and this is the part where you got to be honest with yourself. Sorry. If you know you got a child, let's call a spade a spade. If your child is bad, disrespectful, defiant, hard-headed, whatever adjectives you want to put to that, your child probably is the most likely the one to be hurt. Because teachers are tired. We let's just be honest. We get tired of going to work every day dealing with disrespectful children, especially because you're dealing with somebody who grew up in the era of disrespect, not tolerated. That's a no-go. I didn't go to school and talk to my teachers any kind of way because I knew when I got home, my mama was going to kill me. There was just no end in sight to what was going to happen. But now you have parents who don't think like that. They don't care. They come to the school like, I'm gonna show out if y'all bother me. Like, so what? Okay, what happens to them parent-teacher conference where a parent is just sitting there saying, "Listen, I done taught this lesson 6,000 times. Your child don't get it. We think your kid needs special ed," and then the parent respond with this. Okay. Now the fight breaks out, the argument breaks out in the conference room because I'm just trying to tell you your child can't read. I'm just trying to tell you that your child making TikToks and your child don't know the word cat. Now that ain't all my fault because I done all the things. The people done sent all the lessons and they done sent me the curriculum and I done taught that and I done taught that until I'm about dead in the face. But now your child can't read. What you gonna do? The ball is in your court. You need to figure this out too. So the argument breaks out at the parent-teacher conference. The argument breaks out at the IEP meeting. The fight breaks out at, whatever the thing may be. So now this teacher now has access to a weapon. And you, the parent, gonna come in there and show out. And part 2 of the bill is now anybody can carry a weapon in the school system. You know how many times a school is about to become a crime scene? And y'all got the nerve to start off new teachers with about $30,000, $35,000, $40,000. That ain't no money for what you about to ask me to do. If I was a teacher, I wouldn't even come into the profession because it's getting so crazy. No, I wouldn't even come into the profession because that turns into now you're turning me into a marksman. Now you're turning me into a security guard. I'm already a nurse. I'm already a therapist, a doctor. I'm already a speech language pathologist. I'm already the teacher that I said I was going to be. And then I got to go through counseling. I got 7,000 hats and one paycheck. And now you want to add this to my plate. I don't agree with that. So, guys, you got to start preparing your children for the rapture, child, because we headed that way. But more importantly, prepare them for what the new school system will look like. Public or private. Don't care where you say, my kids go to school out here in Cool Springs. My kids go to Brick. It's going to be worse out there. Because guess what? That's where they do all the shooting. So you need to start having those conversations with your children. You need to start letting them know. Like I had a whole 30-minute conversation with my kids, and I said, if you see something, say something. Little Pookie done got in his daddy's gun chest. And little Pookie think it's cool to bring the Glock, because the Glock is fat. Everybody want the Glock. Everybody rapping about the Glock. Everybody talking about the Glock. I even have parents who allow their children to practice shooting a gun at this age. And then, as of you all know, I teach elementary. So what happens when they get mad and come to school because they done snuck their daddy's Glock out of the house? They done snuck their mama's 9 out of the house. What happens? But I tell you this. I don't know. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to say, hey, vote. Jesus of Nazareth, please go vote. And B, start talking to your children about what school will look like should this bill hit the floor and pass. And more importantly, start having the conversation with your children of what school is supposed to be. Remind them of what school was like when you were in school. I told my kids, my kids were laughing at me because I was trying to explain to them in school I didn't have a laptop. I did all my work on paper and pencil. Even when I got through college, I didn't own a computer till I was grown and living in Memphis. Well, that's kind of when they was really, you could get a computer then. So I couldn't imagine what my children have to feel like to go into a school building knowing several people in that building got a gun. My children, after the shooting here in Nashville, my children were struggling that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My kids really struggled to come back to school because they wanted to know how I was going to keep them safe. What was I going to do to keep them safe? And I just kept saying, baby, I don't have an answer for that, because guess what? I can't promise your kids safety. I can't promise your kids they'll go home in the evening. I don't have a promise in the world to give them. All I can tell them is, look, we're going to practice this. If you jump off, this is what we about to do. And at the end of the day, my faith is in God. I pray for you guys every morning when I wake up. When I walk through this hall, I'm talking to God. I ain't got no sage. I ain't got no miracle potions. I believe in a higher power that is the Lord Jesus Christ. And every day I wake up, that is who I communicate with. Every day, all day, about your life, about your covering. I pray for my children, because my children are so far away. If something happened to my kids, golly, it's going to take me a minute to get to them. So I told my students, I'm really sorry that somebody is so stupid to think that was their only answer to solve whatever mental issues they had. I'm really sorry that somewhere there was a breakdown because the boy's mama told the people he shouldn't own a weapon, but he was still able to go buy a weapon. I'm really sorry that the world is failing you over a green dollar. And because I can't control the failures that are happening in the world, this is what I'm able to control. This is how I think we can manage it. And if it happens, God forbid, this is the plan we have in place. My children cried for the first 2 days. I was a wreck just trying to explain to them that, baby, I sat in the parking lot this morning for 45 minutes and cried and prayed in my car. Because showing up to work every day is no longer just me showing up to work. Me coming to work every day is not, a lesson plan ain't even crossed my mind. Because what I got to do is figure out, if this does happen, how can I keep my kids safe? What am I going to do? Where can I go? How can I teach them to get out the back door? How can I teach them to climb a fence? Because they would need to climb a fence to get away. So many obstacles that I have to face on my job nowadays that don't even have anything to do with teaching. Ain't got a thing. Listen, I'm sitting up here in this bed. I want y'all to look at this paperwork. This is what I get in my bed to every night. This is what I should be focused on. Not trying to tell my kids how to dodge bullets. Not trying to tell my kids how to play dead. Not trying to tell my kids, if you hear a loud bang, pause, wait to figure out where the sound is going and go the other way and run quiet. And what do I say to them? I even had to have the awful conversation to tell my kids, listen, you got ADHD, which means your body don't function right. Which means you're going to struggle to be quiet in the middle of a shootout. And you're going to need to figure out how to stop yourself from talking, from jumping up, dancing, from jumping up, hey, because you know they do it. I had to just be ugly and honest with my kids and let them know, baby, you are built different and the Lord has a different path for you. But in that obstacle, you're going to need to figure out how to control that so we can hide and go home that night. So we're going to practice you hiding that, getting that under control so we can go home at night. Never mind TCAP, because I got to make sure you understand that if we hear a loud bang, the last thing I need you to do is start cutting up. The last thing I'm going to need you to do is start running that mouth, acting crazy, doing the sturdy. Y'all ever seen this stupid dance? Lord Jesus, this shit drives me crazy. I got to get you to understand that it's showtime. I don't think they pay me enough. But even if I made $1 million a year, that still ain't enough to show up and hope you don't die. Have the conversation with your children. Talk to them. Let them know that it's about to change. Grannies, G-mamas, G-mats, glam mamas, whatever y'all call yourself, you got to start having that conversation with your children. Hey, you about to send my grandson to school. And this might be what it looks like. Yeah. Your grandchildren, your children, you got to start having a conversation with them to say, listen here. If you see little Johnny with a backpack and it look heavy on the bottom, go ahead and whisper that over there to the teacher. Because we don't check backpacks when they come in. We just assume on good merit and good faith, parents have enough sense to make sure they have locked up their weapon. They have made sure their children didn't find it, bring it to school for show and tell. It has happened several times in school systems. And that kid only thought, oh, I just want to show y'all my mom and daddy's gun. But it was fully loaded. I had a kid in the 3rd grade several years ago bought bullets for show and tell. He wanted people to see his parents had bullets. Like he wanted people to know there was a weapon in his house. He bought the bullets. Praise be to God, he didn't have the wherewithal to bring the other part to it. But if you got enough in you to bring bullets, you'll bring the gun. Y'all better vote. Y'all better pray. Y'all better start having these conversations. Damn TikTok, damn Instagram. Donald Trump ain't even on the Donald Trump raggedy ass ain't even on the menu for today. We got to start having a different kind of conversation. Yeah, it's nice that they want to press charges, but that don't do nothing because y'all ain't going to do nothing to him. Ain't no need of nobody getting happy. Yes, he got indicted. They're going to give him a slap on the wrist and send him on out the door. We done made every excuse of why we can't arrest that man. There's no need in us sitting there worrying about that. What we got to worry about is the problem we facing right here in our own backyard. And that is these people, the people that I empower, these people are saying it's perfectly fine to have guns in schools. And that's not okay. Y'all need to start talking to your children. You know I love you. Bye.